Hi guys, so welcome back to A Life with Queenie. I have another DIY for you guys. This is a dining room table makeover, and this is the table. This is the way the top looks. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, but I've been quite busy, with other projects in my house. All right, so this is the table. It is a table that you can extend and make it longer. That's why it has two panels in the middle. It's also not solid wood. It had some water damage that caused some swelling right there. So that's where my fingers are. It's not smooth. So we're going to smooth that out using a sander. So just wanted to show you guys what the table looked like before. It has the most prettiest legs on both sides. Just beautiful. Love the legs. The legs are solid, but the actual tabletop is not. So that's why I'm showing you under here. You can see the kind of compressed wood look of it. There's Max, about 6 to 8 weeks old. He's no longer with us. He moved on to his next family. I was fostering him, then I decided to keep him, and then we switched back to just fostering because he's just not the right fit for our home. Okay, so yeah, he's going to be living his best life being the only cat in his new home. So here I'm just using a sander. If you want to do this by hand, go right ahead. The sander was, I want to say about $24, $25. There are really affordable ones available in Walmart, Home Depot, or Lowe's. I am not sponsored by any of those companies or stores. So since this table has a gloss on it, I just want to take the gloss off. I'm not just taking all the stain off. I just want to take the gloss off so it's better for the paint to adhere onto the table. Okay, I'm making my own chalk paint, so I will show you guys how I do that in this video. So right now, just sanding the table lightly and taking that gloss off. When I first got the table, it was the color of the two panels in the middle, and I decided to make it darker. And I said I'll do the panels later. Never did. So now we're upgrading the table again from the downgrade that I put on it. But at the time, everything in my apartment was dark, so that's why I made it darker. Okay. Remember, it doesn't have to be super perfect. As long as you get that gloss off, you're good to go. You probably can hear Lucy drinking in the background. Sorry about that. Once you're done sanding, you're going to want to wipe off all of the dust that was on the table. Take it all off. And I'm going to take out these two panels. Well, not take them out, but separate them so I can get in between the little creases there and get all the dust off of there. And this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a mixing cup. You're going to need some brushes. These are from Walmart. They're really affordable. I use these instead of the overly priced chalk brush. That's like $20 a brush. This is like $1 and change. You're going to need plaster of Paris, some bottled water, and the paint that you will be using. You just want some paint and primer, latex-based paint, okay? I get the cheap one from Walmart. So we're going to do 1/3 cup plaster of Paris, and we're going to do 1/3 cup of water. I would prefer for you to use bottled water instead of water from your faucet because it may have some minerals in there that may, change color or oxidize over time. So yeah. So once you get that together, you want to take your paint stick and mix that. You don't want any clumps to be in your mixture. Okay, so mix it as much as you can. The measuring cup, do not use this for food again. Okay, after you're done using this for paint and stuff, just toss it or put it in the recycling. Or if you have other projects, just hold on to it for other paint projects that you have. I personally feel as though my homemade chalk paint lasts way longer than the Anne Sloan chalk paint. I think it's like $40 for a quart or something like that. I have pieces of furniture in my house that were painted for me with that paint, and they're chipping away like nobody's business. So yeah, what I'm doing works for me. All right, to your mixture, you want to add 1 cup of paint. So 1 cup of paint. So 1/3 cup of plaster of Paris, 1/3 cup of water, and 1 cup of paint. Okay. The reason you see me do it 3 times is because I didn't have my 1 cup measuring cup, so that's why I did it 3 times. So 3 times 1/3 cup is 1 cup. Once you get it all in there, you're going to mix this together really well. You don't want any clumps. You want it nice and smooth. The pieces of furniture that I do have that were painted with the Annie Sloan chalk paint, I'm going to have to redo them because they are chipping like I said. So I will be using my own mixture to redo those pieces. So before you use the Walmart brush, you want to kind of pull on the bristles a bit to make sure there's no loose pieces so it doesn't get stuck in your project and then you have to go back later and pull it out. Also, just, keep an extra eye out and make sure none falls off while you're painting so you don't have to mess up your paint job. I do love the streaked look on furniture, if that makes any sense. Since this table is not super modern, I don't really care for it to be, I don't want to say smooth. It is smooth, but I want there to be slight texture in the paint. So this brush, me painting it like this, leaves a slight stroke look to it, almost like it's been brushed, like you're brushing through powder. And like I'm trying to explain this the best that I can for you guys, but it leaves a slight stroke look. I'll show you guys later in the video how it looks once you're completely done painting it. It looks really, really cool. And I'm just going with the same direction. If you want to, you can just do 1 coat and leave it very, very rustic. But I did 3 coats of chalk paint and I let it completely dry in between each coat, okay? Once I connected the other side to the middle part, I just went all the way across because I didn't want there to be a visible seam of where I stopped and where I started. And as you guys could see, I'm painting the panels in the same pattern because I want everything to match once the table goes back together. Eventually, I do put the table back together. Well, I push it back together and then paint over it so that the same strokes are on all the pieces. Don't forget to get the sides. And just take your time. The mixture may be a little bit watery, so just take your time. You don't need a whole lot. Start off with a thin layer and then work your way up to 2 coats or 3 coats if you choose to have it more opaque. 3 coats had my table completely covered. It really depends on the look that you're going for. If you want something more rustic, just do a thin layer and you can go back over that with some sandpaper and it will definitely give you that rustic farmhouse style. But I like things a bit more newer looking, but definitely not super modern. That's just not for me. The super clean cut lines, it's just, I don't know, it just seems cold and cold. So yeah, we're gonna finish painting all of these beautiful legs on my dining room table. You see Lucy just walking around. It's like, mommy's working. Go sit down somewhere. But they don't care. All right, it started getting a bit dark. I had to put on the lights on the deck, but yeah, I called it a night. I finished this 1 leg and then called it a night and finished up the other leg the next day. So the following day, I went ahead and started painting again. I needed to do the little sides right underneath the table here and connect them. As you guys can see, I put the table back together. I pushed them all back together so the seams can connect. So when I brush across, that the strokes are the same. And then I went in and did my 2nd coat. As you guys can see, you can see through the paint and see the streaks. If some people like that look, it's just not for me. I do like an older looking piece of furniture. I just don't want it to have a lot of damaged looking scrapes and scratches on it. Hopefully that describes how I feel about it. Okay, so this is my 2nd coat of paint. And this is from the first batch of paint that I made. I did not have to make a second batch. This is the first batch, so it made enough to get the job done. So you're just putting on a thin layer the first time, a thin layer the second time, and if you want to, you could put on a third thin layer to get it completely opaque. And you can use paint and primer in one, or you can just get the affordable paint from Walmart. That works for me. I've used it on a lot of my pieces, and they're holding up very, very well. Remember that dresser I did a while back? That dresser hasn't chipped at all. It does have some, I don't know how you would explain it, but my husband put down a cup on it and it transferred a mark onto it, but that's about it. That I can easily sand out, redo the top, and put another clear coat of either wax on it or do polycrylic. I think this time I'll do polycrylic on the dresser when I refinish the top. But so far, so good. I don't need to do it right now unless it's like severely stained or damaged or whatever. And make sure you keep your strokes uniform if you want a more clean look. Because I've seen tables that look just like this on Amazon, on Wayfair. I've even seen them in furniture stores selling for $800, $900, and they do come with chairs. Some don't come with chairs. Some are like $2,000 on what's that store called? Not Crate and Barrel. Is it Crate and Barrel? It's one of those high-end furniture stores. That's where I was looking to see if I could find a table that looked grayish, but not completely gray, that had a slight beige look to it. And I was just looking at different pictures to get inspiration. But yeah, they have some really expensive tables. Just type in pedestal dining table. You'll see for yourself. Please ignore my boxers that I was wearing. Boxers are shorts for me, so they're technically not underwear when I wear them. Okay, ladies, you understand, right? All right, so the next day I decided to go ahead and do my second coat on the beautiful legs of my dining table. I had to work with Lucy right next to me, who decided she wanted to scratch herself, then lay down, then get up, and then hair was flying all over. Then she put her face under the leg. Like, she just wants to be around me all the time. It's my baby. And I'm still using the same brush that I started with, you guys. I actually transferred over my paint into a smaller container. So that's the same batch that I made the first time, just transferred over into a smaller container. I really love the way this paint color looks. It's not too dark and it's also not too light. It's like a perfect combination. I'll put the name of the color down below in the description box for you guys. I did get this paint from Walmart, and you can have any paint they have tinted to this color. I'm not sure if Lowe's will do that for you or Home Depot, but in Walmart, I just picked the color. I think it was a Kiehl's color, and they tinted their Walmart brand color, whatever that brand is called. They tinted that with the Kiehl's swatch that I gave them. So this is how the table looks after it's been painted. And after you paint it, you're going to want to lightly sand the table, like very, very lightly. It is optional, but you want to lightly sand the table. Here, I'm just showing you guys how to create a kind of a beach washed look. So if you paint like this, so let your table completely dry and do a couple of strokes like this and you let it dry, it's going to dry in different shades of beige, grayish beige, okay? So you're going to be some lighter shades and some darker shades if that's the type of look that you want. So that's why I just did this part so you can see. If you look over to where the cup is, you can kind of see how there's some parts that are light, some parts that are dark. That side of the table is completely dry. So that's why I did this, so you can see how to get that effect if that's something that you're into, okay? Hopefully you could see it. Okay, can you see it? Yeah, I dimmed the light so you guys could see it. So you see how some parts are light? That's from just doing random strokes on top of the table and just letting it dry. But I want more of a complete opaque finish and a more uniform look. So I did one more coat on the entire table and let that completely dry. And then I lightly sanded it. You want to get the finest sandpaper you can get and just lightly sand it. All right, you guys. So here I'm just finishing up the third coat on my dining table. And then now I'm going to go in with my sandpaper, and this is a very, very fine sandpaper. You don't want anything too rough that's going to take the paint off. All you're doing is smoothing out the paint just a bit, because there is going to be some, like a slight roughness to the paint. It's not gonna like super, super rough, but it's going to be a little tiny bit rough. And if you want it to have that nice buttery finish when you put on your protective coat, you want to lightly sand the top part of the table. You can sand all over if you want to, but I only sanded the top part of the table. Okay, and you want to go in the same direction as your brush strokes. Do not do it in a circular motion. Um, if you want to keep those, those nice lines. If you do it in a circular motion, you're gonna pretty much get rid of those, like those textures. Like, I like the texture of the way the brush strokes look on top of the table. Like, I feel, I don't know, it does something for me. It just looks really pretty. Okay, but I sanded my paper in the same direction as my brush strokes. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna wipe off the entire table and then use my vacuum cleaner to take off any dust that I didn't get. For our protective coat, we're going to use polyacrylic, and this is one of the best, in my opinion, protective coats to put on chalk paint, especially if you're going to use that piece of furniture for eating. It's going to be, get hit on, and plates and cups and things are going to go on it where it might get scuffed up. So far, so good. This protective finish is holding up really, really well. Really easy to clean, just soap and water or just a spray bottle with your solution, and you just wipe it off. I did 3 coats and I let it dry in between each coat. You want to make sure anytime you put on a coat of paint onto furniture or even a wall, you want that to fully dry before you go back over it with paint or finish, okay? Polyacrylic is exactly how it sounds. It's a type of acrylic finish, and it works really, really well. It's sealed in that paint wonderfully. I could have done just 1 coat, but because this is where we're going to be eating dinner, and I'm trying to have that family dinner table, where we have Thanksgiving or, Sunday night dinner and things like that. I want to make sure this table can handle plates and cups being moved around and, stuff like that, a fork drop, something, so it doesn't get easily scratched and messed up. I did 1 coat of polyacrylic on the the pedestal part of the leg, and then the bottom parts of the leg I did about 2 to 3 coats, because I also thought about, okay, the vacuum cleaner and brooms and stuff like that hitting the legs, I didn't want it to chip. Okay, so I decided to make a table runner with some fabric that I got from Walmart. I actually got this fabric right around the time we moved in. I wanted to do chairs with it, but it just sat around, so I decided to use it to make a table runner. Table runners are like good ones are like $20 on Amazon. So I said, why not make something, that's pretty much free. I already paid for it, so let's not spend the extra money. So I just cut it to size. I believe it is about 14 inches wide. It's very long. The table sits about 8 to 10 people comfortably, okay? So I have 3 chairs on each side and 1 on each end. If you guys want to see how I made that coaster looking mirrored thing for my vase, I do have a little quick DIY video on some Dollar Tree finds in my previous video, so definitely check that out. I hope you guys like that. Okay, and yeah, this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I can still separate the table. I can still take out those extra panels and make the table shorter if I want to, because while I was painting, I would separate the table just a tiny bit so that it doesn't dry and stick onto each other. So this is the before of the table, the room, the legs, and how everything looked, and this is the after. Well, come on, get on to the after. All right, here we are. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to check out my other videos on this channel. There's some tile videos, some reupholstery video, and I also have a cooking channel, which I will link for you guys down below. Love you, and I'll see you all very soon in another video. Bye, guys.